Introducing Quinteto Latino, a dynamic wind quintet dedicated to showcasing Latino composition and engaging diverse communities, who will now perform for us.
Thank you so much. And thank you to the Chicana Latina Foundation for inviting us to be part of such an inspiring evening. We're honored to celebrate the Carmen Castellano Justice and Philanthropy Award, honoring a woman who is so dear to our quintet. Carmen, Armando's mother, left a legacy and a cultura that lives on in this room tonight. We opened with Wapango by New York-based Cuban composer Paquito de Rivera, a vibrant exploration of a traditional Mexican dance form blending indigenous, Spanish, and African traditions. It's an example of the richness and diversity that inspire our work as an ensemble. At Quinteto Latino, we carry Carmen's vision forward with music, exploring sounds of history, migration, and layered identities woven into living art. Each composition we choose amplifies cultura, celebrates our many voices, and creates belonging through música. The work we do also reflects the Chicana Latina Foundation's mission, empowering leaders, uplifting communities, and ensuring that every voice matters. Tonight, we offer this performance in tribute of Carmen and in solidarity with all of you, carrying her legacy forward. Gracias.
Thank you so much. You know, as a child, my parents really modeled having a voice and speaking up on behalf of the Latino community. Today, Quinteto Latino is a musical manifestation of the speaking up and speaking out. Chicana Latina Foundation embodies the same spirit and mission. Quinteto Latino through art making and Chicana Latina Foundation through philanthropy. Hacemos el mismo trabajo. I know my mother and father are here with us, joining us from the stars, beaming with pride, lleno de orgullo, for sure. Our final piece tonight is by my mother's favorite. It is my mother's favorite. It's a beautiful melody by a Mexican composer named Manuel Ponce. Estrellita, or Little Star.
Wow, that was wonderful. Let's give another applause to Quinteto Latino. Woo! All right, it's great to see everybody. Wow, I am so warm to, hold this space with you and share what we're about to do. I'm Adriana Ayala, Executive Director of Chicana Latina Foundation. And I actually received my scholarship in 1993. And I think we have some folks in the audience that might have been some of the readers or some of the interviewers. And it was just an amazing experience to be selected as a Chicana Latina Foundation recipient. I think at that time there were about 6. Now we're up to 45. 45, yes. Welcome again. Before we open this event, I'd like to acknowledge the land on which we gather here in California del Norte is the traditional and unceded territory of the Ohlone. Our nation state itself was founded upon and continues to enact exclusions and erasures of indigenous people. It still continues. And amidst what is happening in today's society, I just wanted to take a moment of silence for all of those lives lost due to political violence. It's good to have a difference of opinion. Let's seek to understand each other with words and not violence. We are the Chicana Latina Foundation since 1977. Almost close to 50 years, half a century. That's something. We have provided leadership development, scholarships to college students in Northern California. Did you know that research shows that people with bachelor's degrees have better health, more rewarding jobs, and more financial security? And that's what CLF does and has done for 48 years. I want to thank the hard workers out there, Doug Baird, Sara Jimenez, Alicia Orozco, yes, Angela Ortiz, the board members, all the volunteers, thanks to this beautiful Commonwealth space. We also want to acknowledge the Castellano Family Foundation. They were the first to give Chicana Latina Foundation our first endowment. So thank you very much. That ensured that our mission to empower Chicanas Latinas through personal, educational, and professional development was sustained. That's important. Please help us to thank our sponsors for this event. They are listed in the program, which I'm sure hopefully you all have. The California Healthcare Foundation. Doctora Sandra was not able to be here today, but she sends her love. The Silicon Valley Community Foundation. The Green Lighting Institute, which are here in the audience. Genentech, Masto Foundation, Kaiser, who are also here in the audience, Horizons, and David Ortiz Group, and of course, Olga Talamante. Mil gracias. For more than half a century, close to half a century, CLF has thrived because of its volunteers. And you know who you are. You volunteered through the interviews, reading applications, and supporters, board members who have unselfishly given of themselves, their wisdom, their brain power, and their ganas to make it happen. So I'd like to take the opportunity right now to call out those board members that are here today. Not everyone's here today, but those that are here. Olga Talamante, please stand up. Please stand up. Lupe Gallegos Diaz. Hortensia Lopez. Melissa Serrano. Leti Marquez Magaña. Ludmirna Lopez. Yes. And we also have some former board members who are with us all the time, and you know, we refuse to let them go. That's just the truth. Gloria Flores Garcia. Annie Rivera. Francis Palacios. Delia Alvarez. Silvia Aldana. And Beatriz Leiva Cutler. Thank you. So why are we here? Why are we here? Why are we here? You know, we are here for one simple reason, because Carmen Castellano reminded us of the importance of accountability. Accountability. She was often the lone person in a corporate room demanding that corporations, foundations, giving be diversified and more funds distributed to organizations run by and for people of color, especially Latino community, which it still stands at 1.7% of all philanthropic giving. You know, she was undeterred in her mission, for sure, those that knew her. Today, we continue to hold corporations and foundations giving to put more funds into the hands of the communities that need it the most. Very important. Today, we'd like to recognize those honorees for the courage they bring to the table. For the courage that you all bring to the table. Championing equality, justice, and not shrinking away from today's political atmosphere. I'm humbled and excited to honor these exceptional, brilliant individuals. I'd like to invite Olga Talamantes as we begin our program to the podium, por favor, Olga. Olga is currently the vice chair of the Chicana Latina Foundation, and she is the first executive director of Chicana Latina Foundation. That's something. First executive director of Chicana Latina Foundation. I want to be like Olga. That's for sure. I want to be like Olga. And currently, she is the interim CEO of the Green Lining Institute for 2 more days or 3? 2 more days. You know, she retired a long time ago, but we keep on pulling her back, ¿verdad? And she's here to present the first Community Philanthropist Award. And these awards recognize someone who cares deeply about the community and gives selfishly of their time, energy, and funds. The first award was given in 2023 to our friend, Eleanor Palacios, our dear friend. Presenta siempre.
Yeah, okay.
Olga.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Un aplauso para Adriana Ayala. The vice chair refers to vice chair, not vices. So some people were confusing that. I said, oh, okay. Olga, that's a good role for you. Oh, well, hello, good evening. So good to be with all of you. The celebration of generosity and purpose. The generosity of our honorees who intentionally put their purposes, their resources be they of mind, of heart, or of the purse, in the service of community. Before I present one of the honorees of this evening, I'd like to acknowledge some special guests. As most of you know, and of course Adriana reminded us, I have had the honor of serving as the interim CEO for the Green Lining Institute for the past 7 months. And I'm so delighted that we have a new permanent CEO, and he is here with us tonight. Max Vargas, please welcome. And we're glad to have Candelaria, his wife, and the little one, Asteria. So welcome to the Bay Area community. Welcome to the Chicana Latina Foundation familia. You are home, okay? Yeah. My good friend, Bob Barber, is receiving one of the Community Philanthropist Awards tonight, as well as my good friend, Maria Gallo, who I came, and there'll be a presentation for her, but I came to Chicana Latina Foundation around the time that Maria was serving as chair of the board. So congratulations, hermana. And delighted to have Sara Lomelin as our Trailblazer awardee. Yeah. Mil gracias. And of course, the Legacy Award for our beloved Al. And you're right, Armando, that Carmen and Al's spirit is here with us tonight. They would be enjoying it so much. So to tell you about Bob, I first met Bob on March 28th, 1976. We're very clear about that date because that's what I came off the plane that brought me home after I had spent 16 months in prison in Argentina. Bob and I had not met each other before I left for Argentina. He had been recruited to work on the Olga Talamante Defense Committee by his then roommates, Ed and Peter, who had been my college mates and good friends at UC Santa Cruz. Ed is living his best life in Mexico now, so, but we're glad that Peter is here, so thank you for being part of the history. Also, several other friends who were part of the Olga Talamante Defense Committee are here tonight. We were all very young then. This is the late 60s. And all the young people who became part of that committee while I was in prison, without me knowing them, became like family to my family. And that's what Bob definitely became, part of our family. He had been working for the United Farm Workers Union newspaper, El Malcriado. And that's how he met Peter and Ed, who, like the legions of young idealistic activists, poured their heart and soul into the UFW. We have all remained good friends to this day, and I'm blessed with that friendship of decades. I'm also one of the proud tias to his daughter, Mona. I'm glad to have Mona here today, so thank you, sweetie. Fast forward to when I became the executive director of Chicana Latina Foundation in 2003. That's when Bob became familiar with the mission of CLF to empower Latina college students through personal and professional development to support them in their quest to become social justice warriors for our community. Bob came from privileged origins with an Ivy League pedigree. He had the privilege of generational, financial, and social capital. He chose to do something with that capital that belied the expectation of his social class. He became a journalist, activist, and put his skills at the service of La Causa, writing and reporting for progressive publications. When he became the recipient of family inheritance, he jumped the class ship with a political understanding of how wealth continues to be held in the lanes of the well-to-do. He jumped the lane and transferred significant amounts for the benefit of scholarship and leadership development for those populations whose generational wealth consisted, very importantly, of values, ancestral wisdom, hard knocks intelligence. He added to the capacity of Chicana Latina Foundation by endowing scholarships. I'm honored to have one of those scholarships in my name. The other ones are Betita Martinez, our beloved Betita Martinez. Betita's daughter, Tessa, is here. So we continue to have all our families with us. Great guerreras, mis hermanas. And also by investing in CLF's Leadership Institute, honoring his mother, that was Bob, who herself was a pioneer in advancing women's role in academia. Without being a foundation or an institution, Bob exemplifies the best of what philanthropy should be. The word philanthropy itself comes from the Greek, meaning love for humankind. And it involves more than just immediate charity. It is a thoughtful, long-term commitment to making the world a better place. An example that I think both individuals and institutions could follow. I believe that Bob exemplifies the true meaning of the word. I am deeply honored to present my good friend, Bob Barber, with the CLF Justice and Philanthropy Community Award. It's your work.
Thank you.
Want me to take it down for you?
Yeah, thank you.
Do you have your notes?
Okay, thank you, everybody. Oh, where'd that picture go?
What picture? Is that the one?
There we go. Whew,
That's in our hippie outfits.
look at that hair. That's all I can say. And that was 49 years ago, that picture. Okay, well, thank you, everybody. I'm really honored. I want to thank the board of CLF for granting me this recognition. I want to thank Olga for your introduction, recalling some of the highlights of our friendship and partnership over all these years. And I'm grateful to be honored alongside Senor Castellano, Sarah Lomelin, and Maria Gallo. Thank you all. I count myself as lucky to have had the opportunity over the years to join the CLF community, to read student applications and participate in interviews, where in every case I'm like, yes, absolutely, everyone, yes. To realize the importance of establishing permanent scholarships, scholarship awards in the name of community leaders while recognizing their legacies. To become a table organizer to keep Friends of CLF connected, to help ensure the Leadership Institute, and at the same time honor my mother, who was a leader in her own time, a pioneering woman college professor and community leader. You know, it's a moment in time when I know we're all wondering, what can we do? What should we do in the face of the monstrous damage being inflicted on people and institutions in our society and all around the world? One way I try to look at it takes me to some thoughts that were circulated back when Trump first took office for the first time. The fact is, a new society has been emerging here for a long time, and Trump and his ilk are the leaders of the resistance to that. Right now, it might seem like that resistance has the upper hand, but let's not forget, a new world is being born, and the Chicana Latina Foundation and the many like-minded organizations and efforts are dedicated to moving forward. Thank you again, and adelante.
Okay, let's go to the middle. We can go to the middle.
Oh.
Move. We look just about the same. Look at us. Igualitos, estamos igualitos. Thank you. Okay, come on.
Buenas noches. Ay, no. Buenas noches. Ok, así me gusta. Buenas noches y felicidades a nuestro compadre, Bob Barber. Gracias for your dedication and your passion to be part of the Chicana Latina Foundation and our comunidad. More than 700 students have gone through the Leadership Institute that has helped the students and also their financial status to complete their education. So muchas gracias. My name is Lupe Gallegos Diaz, and I'm the board chair of the Chicana Latina Foundation. So yes. I work with fabulous board members and that are here tonight. I'm also the director of what's called the Chicanx Latinx Student Development Center at UC Berkeley. I've been doing that for 30 years plus. And I'm currently also the co-chair to the UC-wide Chicano Latino Alumni Association, which is gathering power because as educated people, we are going to make a difference. So, and we are going to make that difference. It is my honor tonight to present the Carmen Castellano Justice Philanthropy Community Philanthropist Award to our hermana and our colega, Maria Gallo. So I'm just going to side note here is as a board member, I just want to say that many of the board members that I work with now, I actually met when I was in high school and my first years in college. So the important here of this organization that is the relationships that we build and the sustainability of taking leadership as we move through collectively. And I just want to thank, of course, Hortensia, Olga, and Gloria, who were my femtors as I was going through high school and college. Now back to Maria. I met Maria first when she was, again, the president of the board and also then, of course, a board member right now. She is from Modesto, California, a farm worker town that produces the best things that I love, almonds and walnuts. And as we all know, Modesto and all the Central Valley is very crucial to our community, not only for farm worker and the work that they produce, but many of our community that comes from that background. And she is the daughter of proud Mexican immigrant parents, where her mother emphasized the importance of education, leading Maria to earn a bachelor's in agriculture business management from Cal Poly San Luis Obispo and an MBA from USC. A very, very male-dominated business industry. Okay, that should tell you something about Maria. And was able to break through and cultivate relationships that have lasted to this date. It's important, this relationship focus. She retired from the Union Bank after working in Los Angeles and San Francisco, where she held roles in credit policy and small business lending, and participated in merger integration teams. She served on the board of the Union Bank Foundation and managed the Corporate Social Responsibility Group, focusing on community engagement and philanthropy. Maria is, as I mentioned, also a former board president of the Chicana Latina Foundation and is actively, and I want to emphasize, actively worked to organize student applications, interviews, and annual awards. This was before we had our executive director. That meant all the boards did all the work. And this is really important, again, developing those relationships because Maria has been so generous of her time over all these years and resources to elevate and cultivate the next generations of social justice leader Latinas, particularly being an amazing role model in the area of business and finance and philanthropy. And she's a role model not only to Latinas, but Latinos overall, interested in business and finance. She has also continued her involvement with various organizations, including HOPE, Hispanas Organized for Political Equality, and the Latino Community Foundation, contributing to the community service in San Francisco, the Bay Area, and she has just been an amazing role model for all of us. So please welcome our Community Philanthropist awardee, Maria Gallo.
I don't need this. It's a pleasure to be here this evening and to see so many beautiful faces. And I'm going to take some liberty here because there are some other former board members that are in the room. So, Gloria, it's good to see you. Barbara, where are you? Barbara Terrazas. Delia Alvarez, where are you? So these are the people who planted the seeds for what has become now. So I am so honored to be here today with Bob, the Castellano family, and Sara. My heart is full, and I want to thank the board, the past board members, the institutional funders, the volunteers, the staff, and the many, many friends that we have with this foundation. This is going to sound like an exaggeration, but it's not, and I'll tell you why. But I would not be me without this foundation and without this community. And the way this happened, to start, was the first gala event that I attended in 1988 of this foundation. A ballroom of champions and friends of the Chicana Latina Foundation. And of all people, I sat next to Herman Gallegos. I did not know Herman until that night, and he became a wonderful mentor to me, and he was a game changer in my career. So Herman has also received a Legacy Philanthropy Award from CLF. So Herman, you're not here tonight, but thank you. And then another board member. So Herman was a game changer for my career, but another board member introduced me to James Robert Baldwin. We were married in 5 months. We met around Easter, we were engaged by the 4th of July, and we were married by the Labor Day. And Jim was a consistent volunteer with the foundation. And in fact, Adriano, wherever you're at, he probably read your application. He was a reader. And may he rest in peace. I miss him every day. So, when I went to that first event, I probably knew I was looking for a mentor. But I can tell you, when Jim and I went on that blind date, we were not looking for a spouse. We thought we were going on a date. But the catalyst who started all of this is here from Los Angeles tonight, and that's Maria Mendez. Maria and I met in Los Angeles at my first career job at Bank of America. And when she knew I was moving to Northern California, she said, "You should meet my sister." And I did, Hortensia Lopez. And then got involved in the foundation. But I think one of my biggest pleasures about this and tonight is I think I introduced Olga Talamante to this foundation. So I'm going to close with a call to action. We are in dark times. We have talked about it. We need to recognize it. It's not the time to shrink back. So we need to write letters, write postcards, make phone calls. And after elections, if we need to cure ballots, we need to cure ballots. Adam Gray in the central part of California, this past election, won by less than 700 votes. We need to do the phone calls and the letters. And I'm not saying that we're not doing enough. And I'm not saying that we have to wear ourselves out. I am saying we need to do what we can as often as we can. And I will respect the fatigue that comes with doing a lot of work. But I know for me, when I feel like I'm lagging on my perseverance, I'm going to think of Bob Barber and his commitment and generosity. And I'm going to think of the legacy of the Castellano family. And I'm going to think of the vision of Sarah. And more than ever, I will think of the sacrifices of my mother. God bless us all. Thank you.
Gracias, Maria Gallo, for all you've done to support Chicana Latina college students for more than 30 years. One of the values we hold dear in CLF is the intergenerational wisdom. And as I was watching from down there, I was thinking, wow, we have our elders, we have our soon-to-be elders, and then, yeah, there's all the youngsters. And I know you don't think of yourselves as very young, but that's where the hope lies. Okay. So I want to thank again Maria Gallo because of your generosity and commitment and the fact that CLF continues to fight for educational equity, especially because we know that Latinas hold the values of altruism and communal goals very dear. And why don't we want those individuals to get the college degrees, right? So I'm Leticia Marquez Magaña. I've been a part of the CLF board for 11 years. I'm also a biology professor and the elder director of the Health Equity Research Laboratory at San Francisco State University. It's called the HER Lab. And what I would say is that the vast majority of the HER Lab members are Latinas because we get it done. It is my honor to present the Carmen Castellano Justice and Philanthropy Trailblazer Award, which recognizes an individual who inspires and paves the way for others to follow in promoting equity in philanthropic giving to Sara Lomelin. Did I say that right? Lomelin? Lomelin? ¿Cómo? Lomelin. Lomelin. Eso lo puedo decir. Okay. Sara Lomelin is a connector of people and ideas, a relationship builder, and a firm believer that everyone can be a philanthropist. As a self-proclaimed philanthropy disruptor and founding CEO of Philanthropy Together, Sara is growing a movement of people-powered philanthropy to financially support grassroots organizations and nonprofits so as to shift power dynamics and promote equity in philanthropic giving. Her leadership of this growing movement is influenced by her prior work. Sara was Senior Director of Leadership Philanthropy at the Opportunity Fund and VP Philanthropy at the Latino Community Foundation, where she created the Latina Giving Circle Network. Taken together, her transformative work has led Sara to be honored in multiple ways. She was named to the Forbes 50 over 50 Impact List, was twice listed on the nonprofit Time, Power, and Influence Top 50 list, and included in the Time 100 Philanthropy list. Originally from Mexico City, Sara identifies as a global citizen and is dedicated to Latino philanthropy and philanthropy that centers diverse, underrepresented voices, including Black, Asian, Latinx youth, LGBTQI+, and religious minorities. Sara's work at Philanthropy Together provides a platform for different perspectives in the collective giving field. It's a unique model that has given away nearly $3.1 billion in the past years by exploding in popularity among diverse audiences wishing to use their collective giving for social impact.
Hi, everybody. I'm sorry, I usually don't read, but I just got off a plane last night and I'm very jet lagged. So, apologizing for that. But buenas noches. I'm standing here tonight with a full heart and extremely grateful to be surrounded by family. I have 2 of my 3 children here. And, my friends and colleagues in this work. I'm going to say a quote of Carmen Castellano. She said, "We put a brown face on philanthropy when it was almost non-existent." Carmen Castellano said those words, and she was not just talking about representation. She was talking about transformation. I'm deeply, deeply honored to receive the Carmen Castellano Trailblazer Award from the Chicana Latina Foundation, an organization that has been empowering Latinas for almost 50 years. I knew Carmen and Alcario. I had the honor to meet them several years ago, and I know her children. And the Castellano family really show us what radical generosity should be. They work hard, they give back, and most importantly, they bring people along with them to the work of helping others. They don't just write checks, they change how giving happens. And this transformation that Carmen spoke became my calling years ago. And I remember, and Maria, I'm going to be saying exactly the same words as you. I remember the first gala that I went from the Chicana Latina Foundation. When I started working at Latino Community Foundation, the first event I went was the gala at Chicana Latina Foundation. And that event really shook me because I heard, I saw the bright faces of young Latinas receiving the scholarships, and I heard the speakers that inspired me and reflected our community's strength and vision. And that night really revealed the power of our voices when we put them at the center. And I really believe that everyone can be a philanthropist, period. I started my first giving circle in 2007, living in Dallas with a group of friends without even knowing that that was called a giving circle. And the experience really taught me that philanthropy is love of humanity, and love multiplies when it's shared. And what began in living rooms became a global movement. And as Leti just mentioned, right, just in the US, there are thousands of giving circles with thousands of leaders, and in the past 6 years have moved $3.1 billion. This is not a tiny movement, it's extremely powerful. Pardon me. Carmen really blazed this trail. When she and Al won the lottery, they could have kept quiet. Instead, they spoke up. They demanded Latino voices be heard at conferences and meetings. They understood that being visible creates responsibility, and responsibility drives change. And this is what Carmen meant by changing philanthropy. It's not about charity. It's about shifting power. When we give with no strings attached, when communities control their resources, real change happens. And I want to thank my fellow honorees, and I'm so honored to be in your presence tonight. Bob, for your incredible advocacy and activism and work. And of course, Maria Gallo, a trailblazing board member at the Latino Community Foundation when I was working there. Alongside Arabella and Aida Alvarez, I learned so much from you. And to my forever sisters in this work, Jacqueline Martinez-Garcel, Masha Cherniak, who is not here with me, and Gina Dalma, Luz Urrutia, Isis Kraus, you are the reason I never walk alone. And every time I doubted myself, you reminded me of my strength. Every time the work felt heavy, you lift me up with your wisdom, with your laughter, with your love, and the big belief of we're all building together. Thank you. You are more than colleagues, you're family. And to the Chicana Latina Foundation and Latino Community Foundation, where everything started for me, you helped plant the seed that grew into my life's work and gave me purpose. And you gave me the roots when I needed grounding. You gave me wings when I needed to fly. And thank you, Adriana. Where are you, Adriana? I don't know. Adriana and Alicia and Olga for being always an inspiration. This recognition means everything to me because it's the very first time that I'm recognized by a Latino organization. So this is, this is going to stay in my heart forever. And thank you. And this award belongs to every organizer who knows communities already hold the answers, to every dreamer who insists that power must be shared. And Carmen Castellano taught us that being visible, being present, speaking up, that is the work. She taught us that giving is measured not in dollars, but in courage, in community, and in love. And she showed us that helping others can come from the people, for the people. And tonight, we're not just honoring Carmen's memory. We are continuing her mission. Every time we choose to be visible, as Maria said, rather than invisible, every time we share power instead of hoarding it, every time we say, sí, tú también perteneces aquí, we light the torch that she passed on to us. So tonight in this room, my call to action, I want to remind you that the invitation to disrupt philanthropy is not mine alone to extend. It's for all of us to accept together. Thank you.
Handsome young man, isn't he? Political part, he's running for the San Mateo County Board of Education Superintendent. Wow. Get a little vertical challenge here. Thank you so much, Sarah, for envisioning Latino circles, for the founding of Philanthropy Together, and for the good trouble you do when you're out there. Blessed evening, everyone. I thank the Divine for this day and the blessing that He's sharing with us today, bringing us here together. I'm Hortensia Lopez. I've been on the Chicana Latina Foundation board for 41 years. And I share with people, because I said, I got to get off the board, But every time we have our gala events and we see the promise of these young women with heart, with desire, with wanting to help and make a difference as agents. Okay, one more year. So 41 years it is. And anyway, thank you. And I'm honored to present the Carmen Castellano Philanthropy Legacy Award, which recognizes extraordinary individuals whose enduring impact has left an indelible mark in the Latinx community. This evening, we are honoring a man whose quiet strength and deep generosity left a mark on all who knew him. When Alcadio Castellano, Al, was first introduced to the Chicana Latina Foundation, he didn't just show up. He became an ambassador, a champion, and alongside his beautiful and beloved wife, Carmen, a steady presence with us. I thank all of you former award speakers because you've said it all about Carmen. And so when I think of Al, I think of Carmen. They're not separable. So I'm going to submit a change in here, but they're together. They're here. I agree. Al, Carmen, aquí están, so thank you. You know, he attended the last Carmen Castellano Award in an event in a wheelchair because Al was not going to miss it. That's how much it was part of the legacy, his contributions. I think earlier Adriana shared that they gave us the first endowment. They got Chicana Latina Foundation to the next level and the next level. But beyond that, Carmen was a board member. And when she was there, her wisdom, her gentleness, her love, and I think I want to honor hearing Armando earlier in the music and knowing Carmela, his daughter, one of the daughters, that I feel their unconditional love inspired them to be able to learn what they wanted to learn. Carmela was a ballet follica dancer, yes, and now she is a singer with Cuvo, the band. I was very fortunate to hear him 2 weeks ago, but I've always enjoyed him. So it's important to acknowledge, where does this come from? Where do they feel? Where do they get the inner strength? Where do they get the spirit? Al and Carmen. So I just wanted to cite that a little bit. You know, he was a family man, so proud of his children, Maria West, Carmela, Castellano Garcia, and Armando, as well as his grandchildren. A veteran and a longtime leader with the GI Forum, Al carried his services into every part of his life. He gave not because he had to, but because it was who he was. Even before he had the philanthropy, before he became the philanthropist that he was, he lived as one, always sharing, always supporting, and always lifting others. Al was also a videographer and a photographer of cultural events like the Cinco de Mayo and Chicana Latina Foundation Awards, dinners, and the San Jose chapter of the American GI Forum. He was an archivist of our history. You can access the Alcario and Carmen Castellano family collections at the San Jose State University Special Collections and Archives. Excellent work. He was honored one year where Carmela interviewed him, and he shared why he got involved and why he wanted the history to stay, and it was all about keeping us going, inspiring us, reminding us who we were, what we had to offer, and that made a difference, and I agree with him. Al and Carmen were unequivocal about supporting education, leadership, arts, and culture. Together, as was said earlier, which is very sad to acknowledge, is that they doubled down when they gave to our Latino organizations who were only receiving 1.5%. And Adriana sadly shared that it is now just 1.7. The foundation was founded over 10 years ago. I think that says a lot. They challenged the philanthropic sector to acknowledge, validate, and respect Latino organizations like CLF and others like CBOs and invest in them. Latinx organizations are stronger because of Al and Carmen. He was humble, yes, but never silent. He spoke truth respectfully, and when the moment called for it, firmly about inequities. In doing so, he reminded us that real love for community is not passive. It is active, courageous, and constant. It is with profound gratitude that Chicana Latina Foundation presents this year's Carmen Castellano Philanthropy Champion Award posthumously to Alcario Castanero, Al, a man whose legacy of service and generosity will continue to ripple through the foundations and far beyond. Que viva Al, que viva Carmen, que viva la familia Castellano.
Oh, what a beautiful scene out there. Thank you, everybody, for being here tonight. This is when they told me that my father was going to receive my mother's award. I was like floored, and it just made so much sense, actually, and it just seemed like, wow, such a unique thing. I was not going to miss it. I'm just so excited to be here. But the one thing I wanted to just say, because I was thinking today about why my dad was such a great philanthropist. Okay? And I really think goes to what's been said here is because my dad was like a community volunteer extraordinaire. Like he had spent years knowing exactly what it takes for individuals to come together with little to no resources and make magic happen. And he knows that it's about the dedication and the commitment. And I think the GI Forum and his experience there was what really solidified this forum and where he was able to pull that off at an extraordinary level. And I do want to tell you that my dad did tell me probably about 6 years ago, oh no, I guess it was more like 10, in watching the GI Forum videos with him together, we had a special relationship. I was the GI Forum queen back when he got started. So he and I were GI Forum junkies, all the way. We just love the GI Forum. We would watch these videos and he was very nostalgic. And one morning he turned to me and he said, you know what, Carmela, I just want to say, besides you kids and your mom, what I did with the GI Forum is the most significant thing I ever did in my life. Okay? And that is what led to the archive and why everything is now at San Jose State, because when I realized what it meant to him. But that is why he's such a great philanthropist, because he really understood what it meant for that volunteerism, that spirit, how critical, how important that was, and he valued it so much. And then when he became a philanthropist, he was able to help empower the others in the community to continue to do the same thing and go to a whole other level. And he truly valued the efforts of the grantees because he had been in those shoes. And even when he became a philanthropist, he was still out there volunteering, supporting, and really being a member of the community with these organizations. So I did want to just share that in my reflection on why he was such a special and unique philanthropist. And I'm just so proud of him. I'm so proud of the efforts that he made, and particularly his efforts as a historian and archivist, because they are tremendous, and it's a treasure trove that he has left behind, an absolute treasure for San Jose and for future generations to understand the power of the Chicano Latino community here in San Jose. And I'll turn it over to my brother.
Thank you. I love this event. I love coming to this. It's just, thank you, Sara and Maria and Bob, for all your work and your inspiration to me for so many years, and to our family. But I love this event. I feel like I just sit back and watch the power in the room. I really feel that women and women of color in particular are going to save this world. And I feel like saved when I get to come here. I feel like something's happening. We're gonna. In my work, I really feel like that. They're the most inspiring leaders that I work with, and I remember seeing and knowing and learning about Chicana Latina Foundation when I was a young man, and being in awe of the organization. Latina founded, Latina run, Latina led, Latina funded, and a women-built organization supporting women, voices, Latinas. A one-of-a-kind institution. And I'm so grateful my family has been a part of the CLF family for so many years. So thank you, Chicana Latina Foundation, for being such a wonderful partner for us. As my sister said, my dad really was the steadfast backbone of support of my mother and my sister and all the things that she's done, and both my sisters. And he was really model for me how a Latino man can support Latina voices. He really showed me how to do that, we just need to be quiet and listen. Really, you just sit back, let them lead, let them lead. And as been said, my dad loved my mom so deeply, and he was a really committed husband, and it's just there's just something so beautiful about him receiving this award and named after his cherished wife. That is just an awesome thing for me and to feel, and even now their spirits continue to be lovingly intertwined, both in their work as philanthropists and in this award. They're still intertwined here, even getting this award together, her in her name and him receiving it. And so I'm just really grateful for my parents' leadership in my life, in our community's life, in my family's life. And thank you, CLF, for lifting up the work of both my parents. I really appreciate all of you. Thank you so much.
Here we are. Buenas noches. Gracias una vez más. My name is Lisbeth Calleros, and I'm the last speaker before Adriana closes tonight's program. I am twice a CLF alumna. Thank you. Thank you. And tonight, I want to share how the Chicana Latina Foundation has impacted my life. So I'm going to try to stay grounded and let my emotions be present and not take over. So as I mentioned, buenas tardes a todos, a todes, and what a beautiful day to be alive. I want to honor the ancestors that have allowed me to be here today. And what a gift to exist during such an important moment in history, right? I want to begin by giving thanks again. Thanks to the brave freedom fighters and social justice warriors like Carmen Castellano, who paved the way so we can gather here today. In joy, in resilience, and in resistance. Aho! And thank you to our ancestors whose struggles continue to fuel our steps forward. Being here, sharing a piece of my journey means more than I can say. There is a saying in Spanish that goes, recordar es vivir. To remember is to live. For me, today, it also means to remember is to heal. When I was in high school, a nearly straight-A student, an athlete, volunteer, holding a part-time job, I met with my counselor to talk about college. Instead of encouragement, she told me it was too expensive, that it wasn't realistic. I sat in that office devastated, bawling my eyes out, wondering, was it because my father was in prison? Was it because my parents were immigrants? Because Spanish was my first language? Did she believe somebody like me was not capable? I carried not only her words, but also the weight of domestic violence, community violence, and intergenerational trauma. Yet, instead of letting that define me, I chose to use it as fuel. With the support of caring adults and programs like Upward Bound, I became the first in my family to go to college. Thanks. I filled out that FAFSA by hand, on my own, and I got into the only 4-year university that I applied to, and I paid for it with my Burger King money, by the way. Yeah. They tried to bury us, but they didn't know we were seeds. Yep. And life has continued to test me. And with every challenge came an opportunity to grow and push back against the systemic injustices that are faced by people like me. When I attended my first CLF dinner in 2008, I was pregnant with my daughter. She right there. I was working as a case manager at Carecen. I had never seen so many scholars who looked like me, with stories like mine. Representation matters, yo. Yeah, I saw myself in them. That night reignited a voice within me. Tú también puedes, Liz. And I did. I became a CLF a scholar twice. Who knows what direction my path would have taken if I had not attended the dinner that night. In 2011, I went back to school for a master's in social work. In 2012, I was a CLF recipient. And after attending that Leadership Institute, I was so inspired by all the Poderosas at that retreat that by 2016, I went back to school for a doctorate in education. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. In 2017, I had the honor of receiving that award a second time. So the value of an organization like CLF has been immeasurable in my life. Attending that CLF dinner in 2008 was the fertilizer my path needed to push me forward. Today, I stand as Doctora Lisbeth Calleros. Thank you. 1% of Latinas with a doctorate. Every degree earned is not just mine, it is a victory for all our beautiful brown beings. Now, as a school social worker, a therapist, and advocate, my mission is clear: to keep those doors open and give students the tools to be confident and resilient. Aquí estamos y no nos vamos. All power to the people.
Another round of applause for Lisbeth, Doctora Lisbeth. Woo! Wow. And we're almost at the end. But you know, what a Friday. What a Friday of fuel. What a Friday. We're going to go home and be philanthropists. Yes, that's what it's all about. I'm so inspired by the honorees and our beautiful alumna. They are courageous and bold when we need bravery the most. Everyone you've heard have been, social justice leaders, chingonas and chingones. And, there's just a commitment to improve this world. And thank you. CLF continues to hold true to our values, and we're not going to change our name. We're not going to change our name. And we're not going to change our values. Because advancing equity is important. Advancing equity in education, cultivating leaders is important, and building community, like Lupe was mentioning. We are experiencing a retreat, we all know, from justice and equality. ¿Cómo puede ser? We know that advancing equity remains viable, though, legal, and urgently needed, as Olga Talamante has mentioned. So it is on us. It is up to our generation, and we're multi-generation here. We're all responsible for making a change, for insisting on progress, keeping advancing towards justice. So philanthropic giving directly begins with us, for sure. And I like to highlight our philanthropy honor roll, because they have doubled down and held on to the values of equity and diversity amidst the threats and retaliation. And we need to hold these organizations, hold them high, honor them, because they're doubling down. I'd like to mention the California Healthcare Foundation, San Francisco Foundation, Comerica, and Costco. We see you. We need models of change and transformation. And I'd like to invite everyone here to share who we are as CLF. You are our ambassadors. Share with your friends, share with your family, CLF, and dare them, like Melissa says, dare them to fall in love with CLF, to fall in love with education equity, to fall in love with this cultivation of the next generation of not just social justice líderes de conciencia, leaders of conscience. We need leaders of conscience. So as we end, I like to, I know you all, it's for a Friday. I don't know if you're all gonna go out, have some drinks, dancing. But before we do that, or celebrating some birthdays, Vola, right? I like to, and please stand, I like to recognize our CLF alumna, please, and keep standing, our volunteers, and those folks that have a special scholarship for your loved ones. And I also have a special scholarship for my love, for my wife, who passed away 2 years ago. So you can also have special scholarships. I like to, for those folks that are comadres, are compadres, to please stand up. Anybody that has supported the cultivation of leaders, and that means all of you. Get up, everybody, stand. Yes, to all of you. Gracias a todos for your generosity and commitment. for the community and for giving back. And as we end, I'd like to end with, hey, saying un grito, ¿verdad? We cannot have a gathering without a grito. So, que viva Carmen Castellano. Que viva Carmen. Yes, que viva El. Que viva Bob. Que viva María. Que viva Sara. Y que viva Alcario Castellano. Muchas gracias a todos. Gracias. There's going to be a reception, so please continue to collectively gather, plan, and activate. Just like Maria says, this is our time. Let's go out and activate. Gracias. Before we leave, I am remiss. I'd like to acknowledge our former board member, Carmela Castellano Garcia. And of course, Carmen Castellano. Yes, gracias.